What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Chris, as always with me,
Liam.
And today we are diving into HBO's The Last of Us, Season 2, Episode 1. Let us know in the comments what you guys thought of this premiere for Season 2. Let us know what you thought of Season 1. If you're just tuning in, go ahead, hit subscribe, hit the little notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. We do more of a discussion style about TV shows, characters, really sci-fi and fantasy based most of the time because that's really what we love. But just want to chat about this episode, and as always, it's awesome to hear what you guys have to say about it. We just recently did Handmaid's Tale, where I had never watched a single episode going into the finale. Liam's watched all of it, and you guys have really loved the idea of the two different perspectives. So check that out if you guys are interested in that as well. But we're diving in. We both have watched the entire first season of this, so we are up to date on this one. And this was a little bit of a slow draw, but we're going to dive in. We're going to pick it apart. Let us know. Let's do it.
Yeah, it was slow for me.
Yeah, it was a slow draw leading up to what's going to be, I think, probably. I mean, if you've seen the trailer, Okay, I won't ruin it for you.
I want to be surprised when it comes or just have my own thoughts around it instead of being, oh, yeah, that's coming.
Yeah. I mean, I like to watch the trailer because I think that, or I would hope, I would say, that the people who put the trailer together, ultimately, when they're like, put their final stamp approval on it to go send it out to the masses, that they didn't spoil the freaking show for us. They just gave us enough to get excited. And there's some things to be excited about this season for sure.
So we are now, what, like 5 years later? His lie is just destroying his relationship with her?
Yeah, so we get a 5-year time jump. They're back with Tommy. They're back in Wyoming. And we get a 5-year time jump from the last time. So we get like the extended version of the clip that ends season 1 to start season 2, which, you know, it's just him lying to her and then her just basically being like, I don't really believe you, but okay. And then we get the 5-year time jump.
Yeah. So they've been stewing with that for 5 years.
Yeah, so let us know in the comments what you think. How much does she actually know? Like, she knows that he's lying to her. She's also now 19, or she, you know, grows up in her formidable teenage years with him as a father figure. So completely rebelling. I mean, even though I forgot her name.
Her friend?
No, the therapist.
Oh, I'm not sure the therapist names. Too new.
I know her real name, and it's not coming to me for a second. Like, my brain is blank on it. But anyway, when she says to him, this is, you know, these are not real problems. This is just anybody dealing with a 19-year-old or a young daughter, any father, kind of like, it made sense, right? Because that's really what he's dealing with, is the fact that now that things have kind of normalized, they have some sense of like community at least, it's back to looking at the big, like the smaller problems become the bigger problems, right? I don't agree with this person. He's controlling of me. He doesn't want me to live my own life. He's not really looking out for what's best for me, even though we all know Joel really is. And so she rebels. Now, the real question, and what I want you guys to let us know down in the comments, does she know the full lie? Does she know that he killed all those people and that she's the only person who's truly immune, and that he may have botched or truly did botch their opportunity to create a vaccine or a cure, but ultimately she also doesn't know it would have taken her life. So
I don't know if she fully knows. I don't think she cares if she needs to fully know. She's mistrusting as people in general. So she's jumping to the worst case scenario regardless, which I'm not even sure if this could be the worst case. It could be way worse than that from what she's actually imagining he's done.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, slaughtering an entire group of people is pretty bad.
Yeah, and we also have, what, those Firefly people coming to seek revenge?
Yeah. He killed everybody. So yeah, they're coming for him.
They want it slow too.
Yeah, I don't think she'll get that part, but I mean, they're right on the edge of town. Like, we get to see them basically living up 5 years of a semblance of peace and community, but you know, danger is always looming, and we got to see there's multiple threats on their way to their quaint little town.
So one of the scenes, it's her and her friend. They're in the warehouse building thing with the
Stalkers? Yeah.
The smarter one, though, that was actually using cunning.
The one that stalked her, yeah.
So when I saw them walking out of the forest, because they didn't show their faces or anything, they showed them like struggling to walk, I was like, oh fuck, could this be another evolved version of that? So I didn't immediately think it was them finally just getting there. Because they didn't show any of the faces. They were distraught. They were barely walking properly. And so I'm just like, oh, that could be a fun twist.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things. I didn't catch that. I immediately thought that was who that was. So I didn't catch that part. But one thing I did think was interesting about this evolved strain. So like the one you talked about in the warehouse that we're calling the Stalker, or at least the internet is, that one is a newer, like it's newerly, like the fungus has newly taken it over. That's what I'm trying to say.
Because they went through the whole history lesson with the stuff going over the eyes, in the face, and it hasn't reached that part yet.
Correct. And it was also like what that makes me think is that because it's a newly taken person, this is a newer strain of the fungus, right? Like a newer, I keep talking about like a virus, but like a more evolved fungus that's now spreading. So what I think we're going to see is that like as this thing evolves more, you will get more and more like predatory style fungus where it's like it thinks more like a tiger or a pack of wolves than, just like a mindless zombie like we would think.
I'm going to call this a genre post-apocalyptic hippie horror.
What gives you the hippie aspect?
The shrooms.
Oh, these are not the kind of shrooms people want to eat.
No, the reason I say hippie with the shrooms is because the fungi and all that is just interconnected, and we already know that nature is way more interconnected than we truly realize.
Yeah.
Like, it is beyond our comprehension how much plants and stuff can actually communicate with each other through chemical signals.
Yeah, this show and Avatar, the original movie of James Cameron, did a really good job of shedding light on the fact that like they might not communicate through words like we do, but there's ways that even trees talk to each other.
Chemical pheromones, all that.
And so I think that's cool. And I mean,
they're happening.
That's a great M. Night Shyamalan. That's this, that the plants come back and attack us all. Anyway, I think that this is what makes this such a good game and now TV series is the fact that it's so rooted in something that we know to be real. The fungus that's taking over really exists in real life. It doesn't look or act like it does on the scale it does in the show or the game. It basically kills insects right now and doesn't evolve past that, but that's where that's at. But we also have I forget how many acres. If you guys know exactly, if you got Google in front of you, look it up for me and type it in the comments. Or if you already know, just drop it. Be that guy. That's awesome. Win every trivia game ever. But there's a place where there is acres of mushroom, basically underground, that's like communicating with. It's one giant live organism. That's real. That's like in our world. That's not on the TV show. And so that makes this like what's happening with the sewer system, what's happening with the evolution, like all of this stuff makes it like, oh crap, that's even more scary because it's rooted in something that I can actually go see right now in my life. Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely terrifying. That fight scene, though, was weird at the beginning. I thought she was just in a really bad situation. I didn't realize it was just practice.
Were you half asleep while you watch this episode? You're usually way more intuitive, like way more perceptive of what's going on.
I had just got done rewatching the first season.
Oh, you power watched the first season?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I did not do that.
So I went through the entire thing yesterday.
Damn.
And so by the time I was to that point, I was kind of wiped.
Yeah. There were definitely some good scenes in the first season. Though that's my one, I like the show, but my one gripe about it is it's very slow. I mean, there's a lot of slow crawl and then some cool stuff, and then another slow crawl and then some cool stuff. Although this episode did have highlights, it also was quite the slow crawl.
And then also, as you saw yesterday, I wasn't feeling quite so well. So
yeah.
That added to it as well. But in this series, I think the fixing the circuit breaker thing, that scene, is going to become extremely important for something later on. I feel like that's one of those obvious clues where it's like you're in a MMORPG and it's a glowing spot just around the room. That's what this scene was, a glowing warning of something to come.
When you stand idly too long and the game starts to hint, go over there, that kind of thing.
Not over there, dumbass, over there.
So that's one thing I would like to like play the game like now, like recent, like be in the game so that I can catch more of like the Easter eggs. Because that's one thing that this show, that the internet talks very highly about this show, how true it does some of the like game aspects, like the cutscenes. A lot of the backstories and different things that we see are pulled from cutscenes. There's entire dialogues and characters that are brought in that we only get to know through like reading their notebooks and reading through the journals, which like I've played so many hours of video games. I can't remember every journal I've picked up in a video game, especially, now that I've played, like, I'm playing Baldur's Gate more recently. So I'm like, all those books are in my head now. So it's like, I would really like to like maybe go back through and catch more of these Easter eggs.
And then you're going to do more Fallout.
And then probably more Fallout. I want them to make a new Fallout. That's what they need to do. Make a new Fallout game. But anyway, I say all that because I think a lot of the conversations and different things that are like, oh, that may be like a hint to something to come, are just Easter eggs from the game. Like,
Think so?
I think so in certain cases. Now, with that circuit breaker and the way he was talking about it, and this, like, I think that's just a metaphor for their situation. Like, he was talking about the circuit breaker as if it's himself and the community he's in. And he's just kind of like working through his problem as he's talking with her.
That's support because later on he blows up at the New Year's party.
Yeah.
And as you see on the banner, they're going into 2029.
Yeah, it is multiple times in the episode where he kind of like breaks and he's like almost like giving himself a therapy session. And that was one of them where it's, he's trying to talk to her and then he's just trying to figure out like, well, I don't know why she's sad, but other people are figuring it out too. And he's like, I didn't do anything wrong. He's like trying to like work through it himself. And then later in the therapist's office, he's talking and he's like, well, she's actually more like a daughter, but she's not my daughter. And like, he's like trying to figure out like what's going on. And I think that's just how he was working his way through it.
So you think she possibly doesn't even know that he's lying?
No, she definitely knows he lied. Like just based on the way she like very longly pauses and then says, okay, there's a lot of doubt there. So I don't think she ever truly believed him before the time jump. So 5 years of broken trust confessed her, right? And then there's also levels of she lives with him as a father figure. He controls her. He kind of like overprotects her. And so she's very rebellious. She likes to be on her own. So there's like elements of that like father-daughter dynamic really going on too. And then the looming distrust as well. So I think ultimately it's not going to end well for them, right? Like
yes, as we saw, that whole root system that Joel's neglecting because he's so worried about his own stuff. We saw the fungus and the root stuff starting to come out.
Yeah.
And once it gets to that point, as we know, it can just take over everything.
So as far as I understand, like the cordyceps, it's like the actual fungus, like the way it works is like those are like feelers, right? So like it just sends messages back.
Yeah.
I don't think it like
Radar.
takes over. I don't like you would have to be dead and not move for it to like actually take over your body. I don't think if you stood there and it like grabbed you that like all of a sudden you'd be fucked, right? Like I don't think that's how that would happen.
Yeah, I think that's just their foothold though.
Yeah. What I think is it's like their scouting system. So we as humans are looking for people who have been turned, right? We're looking for that as the scouts. We're not necessarily looking underground for like their little like tentacles. So I think basically this is just an evolved way for this predatory fungus to scout where its prey is.
That's interesting because if you look at it that way, imagine how big the network must be in the United States right now because there's no safe area.
And we got to think 5-year jump.
Yeah.
So it's probably everywhere that isn't cold. The only thing that's
hell, it's even where it is cold.
Right. I think the only thing that slowed it and slowed it to the point where people thought everything was okay is that severe cold like severely slows it.
Oh, it's Wyoming.
Right. And I think what's going to happen, I don't know, but eventually I think, if the show is going to continue more seasons, they're either going to have to go somewhere colder or like keep going colder.
Antarctica
or Alaska. Alaska's also like
Canada.
Yeah, Canada.
That would all work. I'm looking forward to see where this is going. Hopefully it will speed up a little more.
Yeah. There's a lot of this was just dialogue and building up to where this season's going to go.
And history lesson.
And then reminding us, of like, hey, this is what's going on, and this is what. There's also some interesting things in this where I'm sure we are going to get flashbacks, right? Because you do a 5-year time jump, and then you walk us through conversations with people where things don't necessarily make sense, right? Like him executing Eugene. We didn't see that in season 1. So there's going to be a point where we get more context around why she understands that he killed her husband, but hates him for it. So it had to be a council decision if she understands it. He must have done something or got infected or something along those lines. But yeah, I mean, there's multiple cans of worms being opened for us right now.
With emotions, it doesn't always have to be rational either.
Yes, it's true.
Cool. So I hope they speed up and give us a little more action this next episode.
Let us know in the comments below what you thought, and also how true was this episode to the game? Did you enjoy it? How recently have you played the game? And did you catch all the Easter eggs that they're putting in? Would love to know down in the comments below. Other than that, appreciate you guys getting all the way to the end here. If you want more access to videos, like early access to videos before everyone else on YouTube, early, shout outs, cool things like that, we have a Patreon. You can go click the link down in the description. For as little as a cup of coffee, you can join up, and it greatly helps us with producing the videos. But other than that, make sure you're definitely subscribed. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a single video. We officially hit 30,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, hitting subscribe, commenting, and just going on this ride with us. It's been awesome. Just two dudes who love talking about TV and, Hollywood and entertainment. Decided to do it on camera, and it seemed to work real well. So really love you guys. Appreciate you guys being here. As always, my name is Chris. It never changes. Appreciate when you guys call me out on that. And with me,
Liam, that might change.
I don't think so. Anyway, we'll see you guys on this next video. As a matter of fact, we have a whole playlist of stuff that we've been reviewing. Here's a Prime playlist. That's some of our best on it, as well as an Apple playlist. We have some of our best ever sci-fi and fantasy shows that we've loved, you've loved, reviewed on there, and you guys can check them out, as well as something that YouTube says based on your search history you'd also really love. That's above my head. But with nothing else, make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace.
Find the strength hiding in each battle scar. You're not who you were, you've already come far.